Okay. All right. This is gonna be a demonstration video for the days 3 and 4 of your charcoal drawings. Okay. So, uh, yeah, just to add to I guess like what we did with the practice video. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit more about the charcoal medium, but pretty much with days 3 and 4 though, it's just establishing more details on the portraits and the face, and making it look more like yourself. So I'm not really gonna go into the details too much, but more of like how to manipulate and use the charcoal. Okay, so just like the example I showed you guys in the warm up, and I've been talking a lot about with the charcoal in general. It's a very, very messy medium, and kind of one of the things that you want to do is to embellish the messiness of the medium. So now I would just kind of go straight into like your lights and darks and your values on the face. So. Um, Typically you have like a highlight that will come from like the top of the page going to the bottom, falling on the face. It's just because of how the lighting works in the room, the fluorescent light. If you're basing your image off of like a different image, then look at where your light source is coming from. But this example here that I'm going to just kind of base it off lighting examples from the typically within the room. So. Now I'm gonna have like this reference for you guys to look at. I can't really pull it up in this video just because, but it's basically just it's the Azaro head with like the different values, and I'm gonna be just kind of modeling like the same value with like the face, and I'll just kind of show you guys that in class and explain it a little bit in the video. Okay, so. Just like I mentioned before, though, you just want to be kind of messy with the medium. So at this point now, you've like kind of drawn your portrait, the eyes, nose, and mouth are. So, what I like to do with like the charcoal is you can either use your blending stump. You can actually start to shade it in some of those values. So under the eye is usually where it's a little bit darker, just because of the examples I showed you with like the Azaro head. So you could shade this part a little bit darker, and then kind of like this spot right here is usually where like a highlight is on the eyes. So that's like kind of where it like, kind of protrudes a little on the face. So you can start establishing some of these values under the eye right here, at least for like my head and my reference. This is all in shadow here, so you can kind of over exaggerate the shadows a little bit more. So when you're shading with the charcoal, it's going to make things, a little bit darker. And then under the hair, there's also shadow. So you can start establishing your lights and darks for like, where it falls on the face. So, I like to use the, the blending stump, also your fingers too, just to kind of push in a little bit more like these areas here. And, if you wanted to, you can actually make your face a little bit more grayer than it needs to be. Because, your face is never going to be like a perfect highlight or like a white. It's going to be a little bit of a grayer value with like the face itself. So what's going to happen though is it's going to get rid of some of the pencil marks that you guys did. So that's okay if it does. It's going to help you to kind of like establish like the lights and darks and the values. And in a way, it's going to kind of create a little bit more of like a realistic look with your portraits. Okay, so I'm just shading these areas. The lip, you can kind of just make it as like one dark value. And then like this part of the lip here, there's a little bit of highlight in the middle. And then, you can just kind of shade that out there. So again, I'm not even worried about my facial hair yet. I'm just kind of getting, an idea of like where like the lights and darks would be. It's a little bit of shadow on the chin. Also got facial hair there. And, this part's going to be dark too. Then under the neck area is going to be dark as well. Okay, so I'm just kind of blurring out the picture a little bit more. This part I can just do all gray here. So I'm just kind of just smudging everything that I'm doing right now. So don't fall in love with the line work that you did, okay? Because the nice thing about charcoal is it's messy, and you can always make corrections, adjustments as you are going along. So, and really, I'm just looking at the values right now. These are, areas right now I want to put some shadows. Same thing right here. It's a little bit more shadows right here. So, you know, if I wanted to, I could probably put a little bit more. I can shade this a little bit darker here. And then even like my shirt itself, it's like a blue teal, so I can actually go a little bit darker than this, but you know, just trying to get an idea of like where my lights and darks and values are. So you really want to embellish the charcoal, because you know it's really just, you know, for shading pretty much. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit closer. Actually, I can leave it like this. So okay, so once you've you know, kind of shaded in a little bit with your, you know, the charcoal, so I'm just, you know, basically right now I'm just kind of getting rid of my line work. You're just looking at where like things would be dark, you know, I could put highlights, and then, you know, then you're gonna go back to the same thing that you did before. You know, you're going to draw on those areas a little bit darker. You know, go darker on my eye right here. Go a little bit darker on this part right here, and you know, we draw a little bit more on, like, you know, what I'm observing. So this is a little bit darker on my noses, and then I'm gonna do my facial hair now. So I'm gonna draw my mustache here. We'll go all the way over here. And yeah, at this point now I can just kind of go into just making it into a dark shape. So got my mustache there. That's what my mouth is. Bottom of the mustache. So I'm working on a smaller drawing than you guys right now, just because it's kind of hard to document this on my camera, but you know, you guys could probably get a little more details than I can. I just have to kind of influence my details. So, you know, draw a little bit more details. I'm gonna still, you know, shade it a little bit. So, you know, I'm still using my fingers to shade it. I want to keep everything kind of, what's the word? Kind of not refined yet, just because you know, I want to keep everything kind of loose and light here. Okay, and I'm still just using the Vine charcoal right now, so you know, I'm not even worried about the using the compressed charcoal. So compressed charcoal is really for like final touches when you're done. So, you know, again, when I'm shading the hair though, I'm just only shading like where the highlights are. So I know like the top of my part of the head though is gonna be where it's lighter. So I'm gonna leave that part light. Okay, so just shading a few areas. This part's gonna be darker just because it's like where the hair is coming from. And then same thing like before, I'm going to go back again. You know, make it lighter. So it's really just kind of like a back and forth of like, you know, drawing a little bit of what you're doing, then kind of blurring it out again. So that's what's kind of happening when you're shading, as you want to blur it out. So it's really just kind of building these different parts, and then just, you know, kind of keep in mind if it's, you know, gets really dusty, just pat it down on your newspaper, and then you can kind of throw it away. Okay, so you can kind of see my drawings like coming to go a little bit further. So and then, you know, at this point now, you know, you can have a little bit of fun. Like I'm gonna go a little bit closer in on the face. Let me just try to zoom in or try to see, which is the zoom in right here. Yeah. So, you know, if you want to like kind of work on a little bit more details on the face, okay, so you can use like your eraser to, so I'm kind of blurring everything out a little bit more on the face, but yeah, if you wanted to though, you can use the eraser to, you know, like erase highlights. So I know there's a highlight on the nose here. So the same thing for like the head up here. I'm gonna just kind of blur everything out, but This part of my head though has a highlight as well. So you can literally draw with like the eraser. So yeah, I think it's really fun to draw with the kneaded eraser. Just kind of set up as like a pencil. You know, you can do like little details. So I lost a little bit of the whites of my eye. I can kind of pat it down to, you know, bring those areas back up again. So, and this is kind of the struggles you would have if you drew it too small. So, you know, I'm trying to capture these little details of my face, but it's really hard because, you know, this is definitely too small with the medium I'm using. Okay, so that's probably the reason why you wanted to make sure to, you know, do your drawing bigger, just because, you know, you won't have to struggle with trying to get these little details on the face. Okay, so I'm gonna fix the shape of this nose a little bit more. I'm not really happy with it. It's looking a lot better like that. So again, I'm not even worried about the dark charcoal yet. Although at this point I probably could use it now. Yeah, why don't we use some of the dark charcoal? So I know I want the eyes to be like a dark. So I'm gonna use the dark charcoal for like those parts of my drawing. So I'm just gonna accent some of those areas that are really dark. So I'm not really using it for the whole picture. Just accenting certain areas. Again, you guys will probably have easier time than me. I'm working way too small here. Do a little bit for like the eyebrow here. Okay, and now this part's really dark. Okay, but even then, you know, I would even go over it again. Yeah, I always like it having like a kind of like a blurry, hazy look. When you look at the portrait, as you know, in real life, you don't ever see any dark outlines. It's always like everything's kind of blended into shapes and values. So if you're really trying to aim for like that realistic portrait look, that's what you kind of want to do with the portrait. Okay, but you can kind of see us kind of coming together a little bit more though, you know, as I'm working on it. And then if you wanted to, you can use the white, you know, chalk. We'll bring out some highlights even more. Yeah, this is really good to just get the highlights that you need. So some details on my face right there. This part of my head's a little bit lighter. So, you know, the eraser is really nice though, but this is like what's going to really bring out the highlights though in your drawing. Alright, okay. So it's kind of coming together a little bit more, but you know, you kind of get the idea. Alright.